Hello, Writing 100 students. How are you doing? The purpose of this video is to redo the writing process video. Um, okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see um, the materials that I have for the writing process. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so let's get started with the writing process. I'm going to start from the beginning. Okay, so the purpose of this video is to introduce you to the writing process. We're going to identify and look at the 5 different stages of the writing process and understand the key purpose and what you should be doing in each stage. We're going to recognize that writing is recursive, that it's not a linear process. You always have to revisit it. We're going to apply each stage effectively when completing writing assignments, and then at the end, we're going to have a quick self-check. So, the writing process, as I've mentioned, consists of 5 stages, okay? And the first stage of the writing process is called pre-writing. In this stage, it's everything you do before you put the pen to the paper. So what does pre-writing mean? It means you brainstorm your ideas. You start to do the research for those ideas to try and find evidence. That's by going online, going to the library, gathering data. Then you start to create an outline, all right, of how you're going to organize your thoughts in your writing. And you will do something we called free writing. Free writing means to simply write. You don't care about spelling mistakes, grammar, coherency. No, you just want to get your ideas out of your head and onto the paper. You're going to review your data to see whether your data actually connects to your claim, to your argument, and you're going to organize your thoughts. We call that pre-writing. So this is all that you do before you go into actually writing your work. So you do not brainstorm at the end of your paper. No, you brainstorm at the very beginning. That is step 1. Step 2 is drafting. Now that you have your ideas together, you've got your data, you know what your argument is, you have more or less of an idea of how to organize and structure your paper, you're going to start drafting. Now, this is where you start stepping into the academic discourse. You're starting to look at your sentences. You're starting to put things together. The most important thing about drafting is coherency. Okay, coherency means ideas need to connect. All right. It's okay if your paragraphs are still messy. Remember, you are still planning this all out. You still don't care about spelling or grammar. You just care about getting the ideas onto your paper. You make sure that you have your thesis statement, you have your introductory paragraph, you explain and you support your ideas. You let your ideas flow. And like I said to you, the most important thing about this step is coherency. Okay? Does it make sense? Are your ideas well connected or are they irrelevant? This is what you do in this stage. Once you've completed your drafting, then you go on to the next stage. The next stage is revising. I apologize for that. My internet is quite slow Anyway, let's go back to the stages of the writing process. So, as I said to you, the next stage, which is step three, is to revise. So, let me share my screen with you guys again. Okay. So, the next step is called revising. At this stage, you are now starting to do deep edits. You are starting to remove and arrange your content. You start to look for logical coherency and flow. You make sure that you write everything in the third person singular. You're starting to look at whether you have enough support or whether your support actually aligns with your claims. And you also start to actually look at your language, not in a deep way, just in a way enough for you to rearrange and revise your work. Then after you revise, then we have step four, okay? And step four is editing. This is the best part. What does editing mean? Basically, you are going through each and every single sentence. You fix your grammar, your spelling, and your mechanics, but only after you've done your pre-writing, your drafting, and revising. You do not do this part at the beginning because you will change your information. Okay? When you do a whole paper, it's okay to change things around. That's why you do not edit at the beginning. You do it right before you have to submit it. So the best thing to do is to print your essay. Start using highlighters and go through each and every single sentence. You focus on grammar and spelling now. You start to look at the types of sentences that you're using. You look at your transition signals and your connecting words. Are ideas actually working out well? Is it written in the present time correctly? Or are you shifting between tenses illogically? Sometimes it's good to shift in the past when you have a narrative to talk about, all right? But is it correct? Are you using your adverbial, your noun clauses, your adjective clauses correctly? So that is what you're doing in editing, all right? You fix your digital copy after you have fully printed it. So you take time in this step. You take tremendous time. Most importantly, you also check for in-text citation. You want to make sure that each body paragraph has its in-text citation, it's done correctly, which is the APA style. Then you also make sure that you have your reference page at the end. Once you've done this, you've done your spell check, you've done your grammar check, your coherency, all of the mechanics of editing, then you are ready to submit your paper, which we call the publishing step, which is the final step. And usually that step comes with me sending you instructions on the date, the time, and the place you have to submit. You will probably submit it on Moodle. There will be a specific deadline. You need to submit before that deadline, anytime before that deadline. You need to make sure that you do not have any forms of plagiarism so that Turnitin does not pick it up. All right. So those are the 5 steps of the writing process. I will upload a very short worksheet that I want you to do, and I want you to just kind of understand these 5 steps, because when we meet again online for the live Zoom on Wednesday, we want to be able to go through it quickly, and I should be able to give you feedback if you are not sure of something. So make sure that you complete the little worksheet, get ready for the online session so that you are ready, and then we can jump into the argumentative essay. This video will be shared on Moodle with the worksheet. Thank you very much.